Open Chrome. Zero to pandas.com. Let's go. So, in the third lecture, we are going to solve the third assignment, which is pretty obvious. So, we are going to look at pandas practice. So, in the pandas assignment, we actually have to deal with creating data frames using CSV files, and we can query and index operation on data frames. We can group, merge and aggregate all the data frames and all of the columns and all of that, and fix the values which are not available. And we're just going to look into that. So let me just open my own assignment Jupyter notebook. All right, so the running might take a little while, so let's just roll the intro. Yeah. So this is all loaded up. So we are going to do the first few thing. Meanwhile, I'm going to import Jovian and put in my API key. I guess it's already put in. Okay, all right. So let's just install pandas and import pandas as PD, where PD being an alias of pandas. So we are going to use the countries.csv file over here. We are going to use URL retrieve method from the url.request library. Alright, so here we can see that countries.csv file has been loaded. Okay, so this country.csv file looks something like this. We have comma separated values in which we'll look onto this in a little while. So we are going to create a data frame out of this CSV. So in order to just do that, we are going to use the read CSV function, okay, from pandas. Okay, so we are going to take a variable countries underscore df data frame, all right, and we are going to read the data frame, all right. So the data frame looks something like this. We have 210 rows, and the one good thing about read CSV function is that it just creates a numbering, although the starting indexing is from 0. So we have 209 over here, plus 1 will be 210 rows, and we have 6 columns, namely location, continent, population, life expectancy of the people, hospital bed per thousand, and GDP per capita of the country. All right, so the first question over here is being asked is how many countries does the data frame contain. So in order to retrieve the shape of the countries column, we need to just do that, use the shape method and put in a 0 over here. We just want the first thing which we have. We don't want the rows, we just want the number of columns which we have, the number of rows and not the number of columns which we have over here. Sorry for that. So we have 210 countries. In order to print that, we are going to do this. There are 210 countries in the data set, and let me just commit. And the second question over here is we need to retrieve a list of continents from the data frame. List of countries. Okay, so the list of countries over here, let me just look at it. So the countries over here, continent, or is it okay, it's continent. All right, so there are many countries which are from the same continent. Okay, so the continent is obviously very repetitive over here, and we need to just retrieve the unique continent. All right, so in order to do that, we are going to use the dot unique method. All right, in series. All right, so from the countries data frame, we are going to sort out the unique elements in the continent column. So in order to do that, we just do this and we get an array. All right, we have a list over here which we have Asia, Europe, Africa, North America, South America, and Oceania apparently. Okay, so let me just comment. Okay, and the third question over here is, what is the total population of all the countries listed in the data set? So in order to get the sum of all the population in all the countries listed, we can use the dot sum method. All right, in chaining it with the data frame which we are using in. So the total population can be uh, implemented like countries df dot population dot sum. So this dot sum, what it actually does is it actually takes returns the sum of this column which we input over here, population. So it just does the we just we can run this, shift enter, and we get the total population. Over here it's a very big number and since because from all the countries we have this many population. Okay, so let me just comment it. All right, so what is the overall life expectancy across the world? Okay, okay. So, in order to get the life expectancy, one thing we can do over here is we can take the average of this column. All right, we can take the average. But since we have a variable number of people in every country, all right, so it is unfair to take an average of the life expectancy of every country like this. We need to take a weighted average. All right, so we have different amount of using the weight as population. All right, so in order to do that, we need to just so the math behind this is simply we can multiply the life expectancy with the number of people available in that location. All right, and when we can add up all the values multiplying with it corresponding population, and then divided by the sum of all the population in all the areas. All right, so we can do this something like this. Where did it go? Over here. Okay, over here. Sorry about that. Yeah, so the I used a variable res, and I just multiplied life expectancy with population which is inside the country's data frame, and we took a sum of the both multiplication, took the sum of the products and then divided it by the total number of population. We could have used the total number of population here variable, but just for explaining purposes I did this. All right, you get the idea. And now when we run it, so we get the overall life expectancy of people across the world. All right, which is 72.721. We can take it as 73. So let me just comment. So the next question over here is we are asked to create a data frame containing 10 countries with the highest population. So in order to, get the 10 countries which have the highest population, we can use the dot n largest function. Okay, so what this does actually is, you know, it just prints out the first n rows ordered by the columns in, descending order. The largest should be first. All right, that's the main logic behind it. So the most populous countries which we have, we'll print it. All right, so it is something like this. Most populous is China with a population of this big number. Then we have India, we have US, Indonesia, Pakistan, and the list goes on. We have 10. Okay, so we have the top 10 over here. This argument says we need just the 10, just the 10 largest. All right, and then we are sorting by population. All right, so the next question is to add a new column in the countries underscore df to record overall GDP per country product I don't know, that doesn't matter. Okay, so the country's GDP can be written as country's population times the country's GDP per capita. Okay, this is actually the product. Okay, so when we create a new column, we create something like this. We have this data frame, and inside that we need to create a new column named GDP, so which is defined as the product of population and per capita GDP. All right, so we just did that. We just multiplied these both column, and it just creates a dynamic column side by side. So as we can check now, we have a new column over here. If we scroll this out, we have the GDP per capita multiplied by the is it population? Yes, it is population. So multiplied by the population is the GDP of the nation. All right, so we are going to comment. So the next question over here is we need to create a data frame containing 10 countries with lowest GDP per capita among the countries with population greater than. So we have a argument here that the population should be greater than 100 million. All right. So we need to sort this query. All right. So how we can do that? So the 10 countries with the lowest GDP. Okay, in order to use the lowest GDP, we need to sort the values GDP per capita. Okay, the lowest GDP among. Okay, so inside the country's data frame, we have population, the columns with the population greater than 100 million, which we have the scientific notation for it, 100 e raised to 6. So we can sort the values according to the GDP per capita, having the lowest GDP. Okay, so the lowest GDP per capita. Just what is the? So we should not have head over here. Okay. Okay. So we have over here the lowest GDP per capita over here is for Ethiopia. All right. So we just got that. I'll get back to this. Okay. So let me just comment. The next question is to create a data frame that counts the number countries in each continent. Count the number of countries in each continent. Okay, so we can use group by and select location and aggregate using count. Okay, so all we need to do is that we need to count the number of countries in each continent. So we need to group by continent, and then the location, we need to just count that. Okay, we need to group by continent and then count that. All right, so we have the continent over here and the number of countries over here. We have 55 values corresponding to that, 47, 51, 36, and let's go so on. All right. We need to create a data frame showing the total population of each continent. So again, we can use the group by, and then we can sum all the population inside that continents countries. All right, so we can use countries df dot group by continent, and then we can sum up the population of the individual countries. Okay, all right, so let me just shift tab it. Okay, all right, let me just run it. So the total population is as follows. All right, So we are going to download a next file for overall COVID-19 stats for various countries and read into data another in another pandas data frame. All right, we can retrieve the file over here and read CSV. So when we retrieve the file, we should get a new over here. Sorry about that. So we have a COVID countries data data.csv file over here. Okay. Yeah. So this data looks like something like this. We have location, total cases, total deaths, and total tests. We have no tests over here, and then somewhere over here we have certain amount of tests, and in between I guess there are some tests. Okay, so we need to count the number of countries for which total test data is missing. All right, so we can use is not available method. All right, so total tests missing COVID data dot total test dot I is not available dot sum. Okay, so we need to sum up all the datas. All right, so there are for datas for 122 countries are missing. All right, so we can merge the countries with COVID data on the location column. So all we need to do, let's just merge countries data frame and COVID data frame on the location column. Okay, on the location column, use dot merge and method countries.df. Combined df, we have countries.df dot merge COVID data df. We need to merge inside countries data frame and on the location. All right, so we can see how it looks. So inside the location, according to location, we have merged, and then we have total deaths and total cases and total tests. Okay, according to location, we have merged it. All right. Okay, so we need to add columns, namely test per million, cases per million, and deaths per million. All right. So the logic behind tests per million should be we can multiply the total number of tests with a million and divided by the population. And similarly, for the cases per million, we can multiply total number of cases with a million and then divided by the population. And then again, for total number of deaths, deaths per million, sorry, not the total number of deaths, we can multiply the total deaths with a million and then divide it by the population, when we will get the deaths per million. And then when we run all of these, we get something like this. We get tests per million, cases per million, and deaths per million columns respectively. All right, and now what we have to do, we can just commit it and highest test data frame. So creating a data frame with 10 countries that have the highest number of tests per million people. Okay, so we can sort values according to the descending order. All right, so we have the largest first over here, and according to the test per million. Okay, test per million. So we just get it. So as you can see, the according to the test million, we have the highest test over here, and then it goes decreases down the line. We have sorted it. So the highest test is in the location UAE. We can commit it. Create a data frame with 10 countries that have the highest number of positive cases per million. The highest cases data frame combine DF that have highest number of positive cases per million. So we can sort it by cases per million, since we have already calculated it, and we can sort it by in descending order, so the largest comes first. We can do this. So as you can see here, cases per million, so the highest is over here, and then we can see that Qatar has the highest. Alright, we can commit it. So the data frame with 10 countries have the highest number of death cases per million people. Okay, so we can sort values using the death per million in descending order, and we can calculate, sort out the head 10 elements. So we can use the dot head method. As simple as that. So we can use deaths per million is over here. So we have highest death, unfortunately, in San Marino in Europe, and then it goes descending. Alright, so we have the optional questions which I'll give in the description below. I can explain it over there. So that's it for the video. Thank you for watching. Got the mojo deal, we been tripping like the 80s. Pulling out the coupe at the lot.